what would electric-type Pokemon look like in a Brazil-inspired Pokemon region? There are so many electric types I feel would fit right at home in a Brazil-inspired Pokemon region, but having researched Brazil's rich culture, flora, fauna, I have narrowed down a few obvious choices, such as the Electros line, as electric eels can be found within Brazil's infamous Amazon River, the Manectric line, as it seems to be loosely inspired by the maned wolf, or the Helioptile line, found within its arid desert areas, as Brazil is known for various reptilian species, not to mention bug types such as Galvantula and the Vikavolt lines, as Brazil is swarming with millions of insects, as I've covered in a previous video here on my channel. Plus, let's face it, electric types can fit just about anywhere within the Pokemon universe, given how broad most of them are, either being insert random supercharged animal that can shoot electricity, or those resembling everyday appliances such as Magnemite, Voltorb, or Rotom. In fact, I'll be introducing one of my own in this very video for my Brazil-inspired Fakemon region, the tropical Zonhe region, home to hypothetical games, Pokemon Push and Pokemon Pull, as well as a handful of exciting electric-type Pokemon I've created for the Zonhe region with the help of several talented artists bringing my ideas to life so I can take you on this exciting journey through my imagination. So if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel to keep up to speed with even more of my Fakemon content, and most importantly, please leave a comment down below to let me know which of the Pokemon featured in this video are your favorite, and if any of these Pokemon find a place on your team in the Zonhe region. While there aren't an awful lot of electric-type Pokemon, at least compared to most typings, they are easily some of the most iconic designs in Pokemon, thanks largely in part to the series mascot Pikachu's immense impact on pop culture and all the Pika clones following in future generations trying to recapture its magic. In fact, I'd like to start things off with the Zonhe region's very own Pika clone, the electric fire-type Agatsui, who I've featured in a couple other of my videos, as I know a lot of you have been eager to see its evolution, and in this video, I'll finally be evolving it. Not yet though, please be patient, I promise, or at least hope the wait will be worth it. Those of you familiar with this series are aware by now that there will inevitably be some Pokemon repeated throughout this video due to type overlaps. But that being said, I'll keep things as brief as possible, as well as throw in plenty of new information. However, if you'd like even more information on any of these Fakemon, please go back and watch some of my previous videos. Anyways, back to Agatsui, as there's plenty I've yet to discuss about this adorable critter, whose shiny cranks up the heat with a warmer color palette. Agatsui can be seen scurrying throughout the Zonhe region on a sunny day. They use the spots on their body to absorb solar energy, storing it in their rump and converting it into electricity or heat. Its name being a play on aguri and atsui, the Japanese word for hot. This is actually my fourth Pika clone and one of my favorites thanks to its unique electric fire typing. It was also quite difficult to select a rodent to base a Pika clone off of for this region, as Brazil is home to so many unique rodent species. And I didn't want to go with the obvious choice being the capybara, especially as my water starter Scubara's evolution line is already inspired by it, and I also wanted to avoid using the cavaya, aka the guinea pig, not only as it's already been done before, but because I already have my own guinea pig inspired Pokemon for the Zonhe region in the form of the region's Route 1 normal type, the unremarkably average yet adorable Cavrage. So in my research, I found what I felt were the next best two options for Brazil, being the red Rumptagudi and spotted Paka species, but since both rodent species resemble each other, I decided to dust off my Hannah Montana wig and have the best of both worlds, mixing them together as this is something Pokemon has been known to do in the past, and went as far as to incorporate these two species' key elements, such as the Agudi's little red rump or the Paka spots, into its new concept. So being an electric and fire type Pokemon, I decided to base it in solar energy, making the Paka spots act as solar panels, absorbing sunlight and converting it into energy for it to use, once again like its dex entry stated, generating electricity or heat, most of which being stored in its rump, which is why it's red, as it's warmed by all this solar energy. As its dex entry suggests, it can be found all throughout the Zonhe region, but only on sunny days in open and warm areas. It also has a new signature move, Solar Spark, which is an electric type attack that not only can potentially burn the target, but also does double damage in harsh sunlight. Although, like Solar Beam, it also has the drawback of only doing half damage while in the rain. While extremely rare with only a 5% catch rate, can also be found on Route 1 in the Zonhe region. Even higher chance of encountering it in harsh sunlight. But fear not, if you're not lucky enough to find it on Route 1, Agatsui can be found all throughout the Zonhe region, once again primarily in its sunnier areas. Okay, without further ado, grab a Sunstone and let's finally evolve Agatsui into Agataiyo. Agataiyo absorbs solar energy into the solar spots found on its body, storing all the immense heat it's gathered in its large flaming tail, while it discharges its electricity through its electrically charged cheek pouches. Its name once again being a play on aguri and atsui, the Japanese word for hot, but now throwing another Japanese word into the mix, being taiyo, meaning sun, due to this line's solar-powered spots and moveset, still maintaining lots of moves or abilities to either set up or really benefit from harsh sunlight, like Sunny Day or Solar Power, in addition to its pre-evolution signature move, Solar Spark. And of course plenty of electric type attacks such as Shockwave, or fire type attacks such as Heat Wave, but now packs even more of a punch as its speed and special attack have been supercharged since evolving. You may still see it scurrying around in some of the other areas you'd expect to see Agatsui in addition to the region's Amazon rainforest or Atlantica-inspired rainforest areas on sunny days, soaking up some sun in the treetops or canopies, as this Pokemon is inspired primarily by the fiery red Amazon red squirrel found in Brazil. But like its predecessor Agatsui, this Pokemon is a mismatch of different Brazilian rodent species, still maintaining its original inspirations of the red-rumped aguri with its warm red rump, and the spotted Paka with its solar spots, still acting as solar panels, in addition to its new red squirrel-inspired design and elements, such as its large tail, as the heat from Agatsui's little warm red rump ignited, growing into its large fiery tail. So in other words, Pachirisu and Emolga have a new friend. Speaking of Fire-type Pokemon, make sure to check out my most recent Fire-type video, if you haven't already, to discover even more scorching hot Fire-type Pokemon found in the Zonhe region. But these two Pokemon were brought to life by the amazing, talented, artist Astray, who will be popping up again later on in this video. As far as electric types go outside of the region's Pika clone, I'd have to say the most important would have to be the Pokemon Push mascot, Tupãnguar. Cosmic thunderstorms surge through its massive angelic wings, striking down to the earth, helping to birth new life. Primarily inspired by the Brazilian mythological creator god and god of thunder, hence the electric typing. But being he's a celestial being, I also took slight inspiration from Brazil's celestial jaguar, a cosmic blue jaguar that is typically not so nice and provokes fear in its mythology, but I decided to turn the tail on its head and have it help conquer fears instead, as it just fits so perfectly, as the Brazilian god Tupan is often associated with jaguars. And I also added a more biblical, angelic approach to this design, with its golden armor and 6 wings, as a subtle reference to Catholicism in Brazil, as it's really big there, and to further support the whole creator god concept of Tupan. This majestic and Magi Pokemon is manifested through positive emotions such as hope and love. And thanks to the Dream Merge mechanic, you'd even be able to use this legendary Pokemon from the get-go on your adventure in the Zonhe region, as well as the connected fusion-based Dream Merge mechanic, allowing it to fuse with certain Pokemon to make angelic new fusions. So because of this, you can expect to see plenty more electric types in the future, as a handful of Tupãnguar's Dream Merge fusions will carry over its electric typing. Next up, I'd like to introduce a brand new Pokemon, Statchic, the electric chick Pokemon. Statchic bounce around using the electricity stored in their cloud-like diapers to launch themselves into the air as they dream of one day flying, with its name being a play on static and chick, as this adorable Pokemon is just a baby, inspired by, well, baby chicks, with a fluffy cloud-like diaper also resembling an egg, like the ones they hatch from. is also a monotype electric Pokemon, which is part of the reason it doesn't have the flying typing as it can't yet fly, assuming it will ever be able to. Statchic learns moves such as Thunder Wave and Thunder Shock early on, in addition to flying type moves such as Peck, Gust, and Roost, despite not being able to fly or being a flying type Pokemon. This monotype Pokemon is rather weak and usually found earlier on in the game, and won't really reach its full potential until evolving into Cirrhea. Unfortunately, despite its pre-evolution's desires to one day fly, alluded to in Statchic's Dex entry, Cirrhea maintains its mono-electric typing, as they are still unable to fly, but like their inspiration being the large, flightless bird in Brazil known as the Greater Raya, the earthbound Cirrhea are fast runners, able to run at lightning-fast speeds using the electricity stored in their cloud-like wings and around their ankles. Its name being a play on circuit, like electrical circuits, Cirrus Clouds, as it has cloud-like wings, and Raya, as in the Greater Raya found in Brazil it's inspired by. In fact, Cirrhea is the fastest Pokemon found in the Zonhe region, which alone makes it a great addition to any trainer's team, in addition to its swift attacks, such as Quick Attack, Extreme Speed, and a move I created in my previous regions, Speed Surge, which is basically an electric flame charge, boosting its speed even further. And like Statchic, despite not actually being a flying type, it can still learn plenty of flying type moves, such as Air Slash and Hurricane. Many trainers use Cirrhea as a ride Pokemon in the Zonhe region to run around, similar to how Cyclizard was commonly used as a ride Pokemon in the Paldea region. And like the Rhyhorn ridden in the Kalos region, these Pokemon are also often used in competitive races throughout the Zonhe region. Speaking of which, these two Pokemon can be found racing throughout the grassy pampas, as well as the savanna-esque Cerrado areas. And like the Agatsui line, were brought to life once again by an artist Astray, so please do yourself a favor and make sure to go check out his work over on Instagram. Another familiar face and essential electric-type Pokemon native to the Zonhe region is Cuboom, with its name being a play on Kaboom, as well as a mix of Cub and Boom. It's an electric normal type inspired by bear cubs, in this case being the spectacled bear or Andean bear, found throughout the Andes Mountains in South America, as I chose to incorporate them into the Zonhe region as they are found in various countries in South America, neighboring Brazil, and I wanted an organic way to introduce a tundra area and more ice types into the Zonhe region. So, if you're curious to learn more, make sure to check out my ice-type centered video, as I cover this in great detail, and introduce a lot of the other Pokemon found in this area. And it's important to note Pokemon regions have a couple Pokemon paying homage to either neighboring countries or other countries with shared history, so I wanted to branch out and do the same with a couple of the Pokemon found in Zonhe as well. Which is why a handful of Zonhe Pokemon will take inspiration from a couple neighboring countries in South America or Africa due to their shared history, as well as Japan, because Brazil has a massive Japanese population. But that being said, a lot of these outside concepts will be mixed with Brazilian wildlife as well, and about 90% of the Zonhe Pokédex is linked directly to Brazil, as that was obviously my main inspiration for this region. And if we're being honest, only about 50% of any Pokédex ever really correlates with its respective regions, wildlife, or culture in real life, and that's being generous. So I'm personally trying to branch out a little bit in my own Fakemon regions, as I feel like it makes the region feel a little bit more authentic. Now, the inspiration for its electric typing came from the kooky yellow patterns found on the spectacled bear, as it reminded me of electricity and lightning, whereas the normal typing is once again sound related, as I decided to take inspiration from boomboxes, as they were once, and arguably still are, a prominent part of Brazilian culture, as many Brazilians would carry them around on their shoulder, or take them to the beach to enjoy their favorite tunes. So this Pokemon's electric typing is also a reference to radio waves, as the citizens of Zonhe carry this cute Pokemon around on their shoulders in the same manner as it tunes into the frequencies of their favorite radio stations, blasting their favorite songs through the speakers on its head, with plenty of Pokemon like Hitmontop dancing along. Kaboom evolves into Bearreo, which is a lot bigger and more intimidating than its youngling, with its name being a play on bear and stereo, with the same electric typing inspired by the patterns on the spectacled bear, and speaker inspiration as its pre-evolution, but now with some DJ elements added into its design, like its large paws now acting not only as speakers, but now also resembling a DJ's deck or soundboard. This powerful Pokemon packs quite the punch, as it's a mixed attacker with moves like Overdrive, Shockwave, Thunder Punch, Screech, Disarming Voice, and of course, Boom Burst on its playlist. So if you'd like to add this Pokemon to your team in the Zonhe region, you'll be able to find it within the various caves and mountainous areas of the Zonhe region, including the previously mentioned tundra area, loosely inspired by the Andes Mountains. And I say loosely because, believe it or not, there are areas in Brazil that occasionally get snow, especially in the more elevated and mountainous areas like this. I commissioned the talented artist Tupãnguar to draw this line. His art style is just so glossy and smooth, which is exactly why I've been using him so much for the Zonhe region, because it really exemplifies that bright and colorful vibe I'm going for with all these designs. So the next Pokemon is one that has been featured various times already. Of course, I'm referring to the tadpole Pokemon, the Poison-type Dartad, which can be found in 4 different forms, each with its own type, as can its evolution, the Poison Dart Frog-inspired Sapoder, as this Pokemon is based on the colorful Poison Dart Frog found throughout South America. Like the Poison Dart Frog, it has several color variations, each with a different type and shooting an elemental dart of that type, all of which inspired by real colorations of the Poison Dart Frog. So the leaf pattern shoots leaf darts, the flame pattern shoots fire darts, the rain pattern shoots aqua darts, and the thunder pattern shoots electrical darts. This signature move elemental dart changes types too, depending on its form as well. And once again, it has to be caught in the form you want it in, with its leaf and flame pattern typically found on sunny days, and its rain and thunder pattern typically found in the rain. Although their environments can also be a factor of where you can find each form. For example, you'll find the rain pattern near the water, or the leaf pattern in forested areas, thunder pattern in more urban areas, or the fire pattern in the dry or desert-like areas. Dartad and Sapoder were both done by the talented artist Tubes_AZ. Sapoder evolves into Elementoad using an elemental stone for its respective type. So using the Thunderstone, you'd be able to evolve it into the thunder pattern, Elementoad. Okay, I was gonna wait until my Poison-type video to introduce Elementoad in all of its forms, but after dangling it over your head for so long, I decided I couldn't wait any longer. I'm not that cruel. Although you will have to wait till my upcoming Poison-type video to see the remaining 3 Elementoad forms. But I was especially excited to introduce this form in this video, as the thunder pattern and the literal thunder patterns found on this form really invokes the electric typing perfectly with the Japanese markings for thunder, as this Pokemon clearly is inspired by Japanese culture, and not gonna lie, the giant toads in Naruto, as there's a lot of shared history between Brazil and Japan, not only inspiring a lot of the Pokemon designs found within the Zonhe region, but even one of its areas being the futuristic city of Sao Tecchio, being a mix of both Sao Paulo and Tokyo, as Sao Paulo is home to Brazil's largest Japanese population. In fact, this is easily the best location to catch this line in its thunder pattern. In addition to the next brand new Pokemon I'd like to introduce, and another reptile at that, Zonhenian Toxel. Zonhenian Toxel are able to manipulate sound waves to produce electricity, which they often discharge when throwing temper tantrums. I mean, it is called the baby Pokemon after all, but in case you haven't noticed, Zonhenian Toxel replaces the original's poison typing with the dangerous new dragon typing. So this is one baby you might want to keep in check. This vibrant green variant is inspired by the green iguana native not only to Brazil, but various other South American countries, as well as some Caribbean islands. This regional variant, much like the green iguana it's inspired by, can be found in the region's large rainforest area, but being a dragon type, it is rather rare. In place of the poison type attacks it could previously learn, it can now learn dragon type moves, such as Dragon Rage, and even some sound-based moves such as Disarming Voice or Round to fit its new concept, which I'll be getting into in just a minute, as Zonhenian Toxel evolves into Zonhenian Toxtricity. The electricity generated by Zonhenian Toxtricity is amplified by surrounding sound waves it is able to harness into booming bursts of electricity, rivaling that of a Bearreo. Like the OG Toxtricity, this variant does have a musical concept, being inspired not only by the green iguana found in Brazil, but rappers. As rap music or Brazilian hip-hop are prevalent genres in Brazil. I mean, they're pretty much found everywhere today. But from its earliest days, the African-Brazilian communities of Rio and Sao Paulo, the genre has since expanded, becoming a countrywide phenomenon, blending Brazil's cultural heritage with American hip-hop to form a contemporary musical fusion. And like the Toxtricity native to the Galar region, this regional variant has 2 forms, but instead of an amped form and a low-key form, it now has a beat form and a freestyle form inspired by the different styles of rap. But just like the other Toxtricity forms, these forms are related to the Pokemon's nature, but don't provide any real differences in battle. Now, I chose the Dragon typing for this form not only as another Dragon type representative for the region, because lizards in general I feel often fit the Dragon typing, and because I feel the power associated with dragons is similar to the power and confidence found in most rappers. So in other words, this variant has a lot more swag, and isn't a punk or rocker like the previous Toxtricity. Now, this evolution makes the most of these variants Dragon typing, with attacks such as Dragon Breath or Dragon Pulse, in addition to its new signature move, Dragon Diss, which works as a diss track roasting the target and lowering their highest stat as you break their confidence. And of course, like its pre-evolution, it learns plenty of sound-based moves such as Uproar, Screech, and Boom Burst. And like the original Toxtricity, plenty of electric type attacks, such as its previous signature move, Overdrive, which really isn't a signature move anymore. I mean, even Bearreo can learn it in the Zonhe region, but of course it still has it as it is still related to music. These variants were brought to life by a Brazilian friend of mine, Mom's Art, who I am so happy to have gotten the chance to work with on this project. It's been a blast, and he's done a phenomenal job so far, and there's even more amazing designs he's worked on that I can't wait to share with you in the future. Starting with the next Pokemon I'd like to introduce, the Electric Psychic type Mentelli, the broadcast Pokemon. Mentelli use their screen-like face to communicate by playing various different channels to convey what it is they are trying to say, as they use radio waves to receive and transmit signals that can be used to brainwash its viewers. As it is a television, if you couldn't tell, and I couldn't resist the urge to do an appliance Pokemon, as those are so synonymous with the electric typing as I mentioned earlier. And I do feel it is important that not every Pokemon is so specific to the culture of that region, as that's literally not even the case for like about 50% of each Pokedex, and that's being generous. But my Brazilian followers will most likely appreciate the reference with the wool on its antennas, making the most of Psychic type attacks such as Psybeam, Confusion, Light Screen, Trick Room, and Extrasensory to manipulate its foes, in addition to electric type moves such as Thunder Wave, Charge Beam, and Discharge, with plenty of coverage with moves of various other types at its disposal such as Signal Beam, Confuse Ray, or Flash Cannon waiting to be installed. And given this Pokemon's ability to brainwash viewers, something that will play a crucial role in the story, as Mentelli is often used by Team Orbit, who I'll be getting into in my upcoming Psychic type video, where you can expect to learn even more about Mentelli, such as its unique ability, where you can catch it, and even its shiny. So please stay tuned for that. And once again, this Pokemon was brought to life by Mom's Art.